What's up, Darlingtons? Welcome back to the VShy channel, and today I present to you my Narukami V series deck recipe. So this deck is from the post VBTO5, which English will get really soon, probably around this week if I'm not wrong. Sorry for posting this very late. I know that Japanese was released quite some time ago, but I had trouble getting my hands on the deck because it was pretty expensive and I had to borrow it from one of my friends. But yeah, here we are. We're just gonna get right into it. So grab a cup of drink. I have a beautiful cup of coffee right here. And then we're just gonna jump right into it. So first, we're gonna go through the cards, why I run the cards, card skills, and then last but not least, we get a little bit of combos here and there depending on whether I have time and whether I want to explain some stuff or not. So yeah, ready? Let's go. Alright, first of all, we have the new VR right here. So Eradicator, Gauntlet Buster Dragon. This is basically the new VR in VVTO5, and I think is one of the best VRs I've ever seen in PCs because of the ever so busted skill. Basically, Vanguard Circle during your turn, this unit gains 5k1 critical for each open rearguard circle in your opponent's front row. So Excel is obviously your best friend. You want Excel cleanse your opponent's Excel cleanse to keep opening more Excels every time, because every time they open an Excel during your turn, you gain an additional 5k1 crit for each open RC in a front row. Second skill would be +1, discard a card from your hand and bind all of your rear guards in your opponent's front row, and then you may move all the rear guards in your opponent's back row to the rear guard circle of the same column. So basically, the only time that you can move the opponent's back row to from the rear guard circle to forward in the same column if the rear guard is behind the vanguard, but we do run cards to counter that. So but basically this skill is what makes Narukami really scary. For cost of calm +1 and discarding one card, I think it's just really too strong to bind all of the opponent's rear guards in the front row. It really takes away the power of Excel decks, especially decks such as like Gopal, which relies a lot on rear guards. Murakumo is another one if you want to take into account. There are a lot of Excel decks like Novas and all that, but this deck especially hits GP really hard from the set. But nevertheless, it is has counters obviously, because this deck, even though it has the high power, it lacks card draw, so the hand size is not really big, and if you're able to get a better grade 2 done than them, which is which some deck has, such as OTT for example, you're able to rush the deck down and keep them at bay with more damage than you, and once you're right up to grade 3 to do all of your shenanigans, you're able to win the deck. I mean, you're able to win this deck. Alright, so my friend has 2 SVRs right here. Moving on, we got 3 Detonics Drill Dragons. So Detonics was a pretty old card back in BTO3. Reason why we run is that you might have to ride it from grade 2 to grade 3 as your first ride. I mean, if you don't have Gauntlet Buster Dragon and you want to gain more advantage in terms of having more attacks on your opponent. Basically, the skill is once per turn, when it attacks the vanguard, you may +1 first the rear guard in your opponent's front row and bind it. Then you discard the same number of cards from your hand as the number of opponent's rear guards, and at the end of battle turn, this unit gains 5k until 5k minus drive until end of turn. So when you attack, +1 by one opponent's units in the front row, and then discard the same number of cards from your hand as number of opponent rear guards. So depending on how many rear guards that your opponent has on the field, you will have to use cards to move it up and bind it from the front row. So we have cards later to handle that, but basically it's a almost free returning vanguard. Depending on whether you can just entirely dependent on whether you can move your opponent's rear guard forward and bind it. But other than that, it's a free triple drive, I would say, if you're able to bind all of your opponent rear guards, so you don't have to discard any amount of cards and they just stand for free. So if you check a crit trigger, you get bump all to vanguard. It's a free returning vanguard from 12k will become to 27k because it's plus 5 at the same time plus the trigger. So it applies that pressure that you actually need. Alright, so last but not least, we run this new grade 3 in VBT05, yes. So Thunderbreak Dragon, basically this card skill is really how to say, you only run this card because of the second skill, which is Counterblast 1, and your opponent moves each of the rearguard in his or her back row to an open RC in the front row. So they can move even diagonally. So what I meant just now from Detonics and Eradicator, if your opponent has a rearguard behind the Vanguard, they are unable to move in front because obviously the Vanguard is blocking them in the same column. But that's not the case for Thunderbreak Dragon. Thunderbreak Dragon, you may Counterblast 1, Vanguard rearguard skill. The opponent moves each of the rearguards in his or her back row to open RC in the front row. So they can even move diagonally from the back of the Vanguard to either the left or the right open rearguard circle. The first skill, if you unfortunately right into it though, is basically if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, when this unit will attack, it battles off the units in the opponent's front row. So it's basically basically bot clears for the front row, but obviously you wouldn't want to run into it because it has no power, no crit pressure, unlike Detonics and Eradicator Counterblast Dragon. Alright, moving on to the grade 2, so we run a total of 8 grade 3s. Grade 2s, we run a total of 12. We have the old Dragonic Death Scythe. My friend has one OR right here. It looks really nice. Basically, the old Death Scythe, pretty simple skill. When placed, you may Soul Blast 2, choose a rearguard in your opponent's front row, bind it, and this unit gains 3k at the end of turn. So basically it's 12k. And then continuous rearguards will continue the battle that you attack the Vanguard if your opponent does not have a rearguard in the front row in the same column as this unit. This unit gets power plus 5k, so it's a continuous 14k beat stick if it's already on the field. If you already use the skill, it's basically plus 3 plus 5, so plus 8, 17k attacker. Good numbers against Protect and Excel. But basically this is a really old card and it's really good in terms of, you know, getting a bound unit for a cost of Soul Blast 2. At the same time, when you attack, if you have the same column, means that if you put an Excel circle and your opponent is not running an Excel deck whatsoever, it's continuous of 14k BST because there's no way that there will be a unit in the same column as this unit, unless your opponent opens a left Excel circle and you opens a left Excel circle as well, and this is a unit in the same column as this unit, so that it will gain 5k. But don't worry, you have Tectonics and Counterblast to take care of that, so that actually doesn't really matter. So 4 off is a very necessary must, and I really like the OR right here. Moving on to the new card in VBT05, we have Fiendish Sword Eradicator Cho. Basically, this card is quite strong as well. So instead of Soul Blasting, you take Counter Blasting. When placed, Counter Blast 1, choose a column and bind a rearguard in your opponent's front row of that column and move up to 1 rearguard in the back row of the rearguard column of that front row. So basically, you choose the column, bind the unit in the same column as you bind the unit in the front row of the column that you choose, and then you may move up the unit from behind that column that you choose to the front. And then once button at the end of the battle that their Vanguard attack, if there are no rearguards in your opponent's front row, you may Counterblast 1 and stand this unit. So it's a free restanding unit. I'll tell you some interactions later that you can actually do with what's this card called Detonics, right? With Detonics, so you can able to, you know, stand it after like Detonic stands or something. Some weird ass interaction. Is pretty simple, but whatever. For a starter, obviously you need the for a starter. It looks really nice. What's the starter name called? I actually have no idea. Is it Spark Kit Draco Kit? Yeah, should be Spark Kit Draco Kit. Alright, moving on to the last grade 2 fall off in the deck is basically Supreme Army Eradicator Zuitan. Works really well with Eradicator Counterblast Dragon, not so well with Detonics. Okay, yeah, my brain farted there. When your opponent rearguards is bound during your turn, and this unit and all Eradicator Gallop Blaster Dragon on your Vanguard and rearguard gains 5k and after. So basically, whenever your unit is bound, and this unit is either on the Vanguard or rearguard circle, they both get plus 5k. So it stacks depending on how many opponents' rearguards are bound during your turn. At the end of the battle that you attacked Vanguard, if there are no rearguards in your opponent's front row, you put this in your soul and draw a card. So helps you soul charge, refunds the cost of itself, and it's a pretty good attacker depending on how many rear guards you bound during the turn. Last but not least, we have the last great tool in the deck, which is a pocket pick from one of my friends. It's called Turning Bash Dragon. Rearguard circle, when you attack your opponent's Vanguard is great trooper, you may soul blast one and choose one of your opponent's rearguard in the front row and bind it. So it's basically a very, very simple skill, 9k base. When you attacks, soul blast one, opponent grade 3, you buy one of your opponent's rearguard in the front row. So yeah, it's a pretty okay common in BT05. I've rarely seen people run it actually, but I think it's a good tag, like one or two of, even though it doesn't gain power like Dragon Death Scythe in terms of it having to be one less cost because this was one Dragon Death Scythe is so plus 2. But I think it's still a good card in times of need when you actually really need to bind your opponent's rear guards, you know, to actually activate. Get the full use, not actually activate, but to get the full use of Dactonics and Gauntlet Buster Dragon. Moving on, not last but not least, basically we have the best grade 1 in the deck. We got Rising Phoenix. So Rising Phoenix, I don't see the point of not explaining this, why you should run Rising Phoenix, because Rising Phoenix is kind of busted. Basically, you can use this card to actually guard with it, and then you may superior card it back onto the field. So drop zone, when your opponent's rear guard is bound, during a turn you may call this card to rear guard circle, and if you do this, you gain 3k until end of turn. So what you may do during a turn, if you want to actually generate higher numbers, you may call a card over this unit on already on the rear guard circle, and then after that you may use any ability to bind your opponent rear guards, and then once opponent rear guards is bound, you may superior call it from drop zone back to rear guard circle. So yeah, it gains the 3k as well because it's it's from the drop zone to the rear guard circle, so it generates 11k booster. So it's important to run this card, especially when you have Gauntlet Buster Dragon skill. Counter last one, you discard a card, buy all of your opponent's rear guards in the front row. You may discard Phoenix, so it's basically you're discarding nothing, because once you discard Phoenix, you bind your opponent's rear guards in the front row. You may superior call it from the rear guard circle, from the drop zone back to the rear guard circle. So it's basically just free of cost per se. Moving on, we got Demolition Dragon. Reason why we run this is because of the first skill actually. Basically, this first skill, not first skill, sorry, the second skill, the Vanguard skill. Basically, the first skill, you gather Vanguards in your opponent's front row, this is against 3k, free 11k booster, so basically almost the same thing as Phoenix, but Phoenix is being superior called, this is just boosting. No, not boosting, just if there's no rear guards in your opponent's front row. Vanguard Circle, when it attacks, hits a Vanguard, draw a card. Basically same as Dragonic Sabanute. If it's a Vanguard Circle, on hit, draw one card. Moving on to the last great ones that we run in the deck, we've got Desert Gunner Gaipan. So I don't see a lot of people running this. I only run 2 copies, of course, but basically this unit ties very well with Dactonics, because the skill is at the end of battle, the event attacks one unit until after it gains 3k, and your opponent cannot call sentinels from his or her hand for the battles that the chosen unit attack. So what do I mean when it ties well with Dactonics? Because Dactonics are able to Dactonic is able to attack 2 times. So the skill states at the end of battle, the event attack, you choose one unit against 3k, and the opponent cannot call Kanzens to guard for that unit. Basically, you're able to put on Cho, and then after that, if it's big enough, or you can put on Zuitan, depending on how many rear guards you bind, you may choose those 2 units gain 3k, and then after that, if you check the crit trigger, you may pump any of the crit triggers onto one of them, and then your opponents are able to Kanzen them, so your opponents need to think properly on how to guard. If not, if they misguard and Kanzen for your Vanguard or Perfect Guard for your Vanguard, then they are fucked, because they have to take the 2 damage if they are unable to guard it with just normal Guardians and not Sentinels. Alright, last but not least, we have the last great one that we run in the deck. Basically, it's a very, very simple skill, almost the same as Thunderblade Dragon, but it's a free cost. When placed, your opponent chooses one of his or her rear guards in the back row and moves it to open rear guard circle in the front row. So it's the same thing if you bound your opponent's rear guard, both of your opponent's rear guard in the left and right rear guard circle, move them forward, and then bind them again. You may call this card, and then your opponent chooses the last rear guard circle in the back row, which is behind the vanguard, obviously, and they have to move it to the front row. So it helps out with Tectonics, obviously, and it helps out with opponents that think that you're unable to touch the rear guard behind their vanguard due to the restriction of the card saying that you're only able to bind from the back row and only able to move units from the left and right rear guard circle forward. So yeah, that's about it. Triggers wise, we have 7 draws, 5 crits and 4 heals. Reason why we run vanilla draws is basically during damage checks, you obviously open a defensive draw trigger, is really good. But that's not the point. The point is because Narukami currently has a very, very small hand size. We don't really see Narukami having a very big hand size because there are absolutely almost no draw power in the deck except for Zuitan. You have the pressure of getting a lot of power and crits already from Gauntlet Buster Dragon, so you don't really have to necessarily run more crits. That's why you run 7 draws, 5 crit, 4 heals. In terms of Tectonics, obviously, if you check a critical trigger, it's still really good, but it's obviously still a Restunning Vanguard, and most of the time it will be free Restunning Vanguard. So take the triple drive with a little bit more power and a little bit more hand if you are able to drive check any trigger. So that's one of the reasons why we actually run 7 draws. I see people run 8 crits, but their hand size is really small, so they die off to decks that are able to really rush them down, and they're unable to guard due to their lack of hand size. That's one of the reasons why we run this specific trigger lineup. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you guys liked it. I will post my VBT06 Murakumo deck recipe really soon, so keep a lookout for it this week, which is Sunday right now. I actually wanted to record this on Saturday night, but I was too lazy and too tired. But now it's Sunday morning, I just made myself a cup of coffee. I'm probably gonna do Murakumo deck recipe really soon. And yep, for this week I'm gonna only upload 2 videos, which is gonna be both deck recipe videos. And we all guys have to wait till next week Friday when I book out from my camp in order to record some other either deck fights or some deck recipes again. But for now, thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you guys liked it. Don't unsubscribe just because I'm in army. I'm so sorry. It's a mandatory thing in Singapore, but I hope to see you guys in the next video. So peace out, Dominators.